We're live, jackasses.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
We're
see
here.
that. It says on my screen that we're live. We weren't
Wow,
live
it says
before. We're live now.
we're live now. What the hell? Welcome everybody to the Crafty Boys. Boy, the world has changed since the last time we did anything, and we actually had one message from a viewer asking a little while ago, like, "Where the fuck did you guys go?"
Oh, really?
And I said we were busy.
Sorry,
So yeah, huh?
viewers? Did you say we had?
Yeah. Surprise! We might have some somewhere. But anyway, here we are. We have beer, and it's Friday night, and this is what we do. We drink it and talk some shit, and then we pass out. So, before we go any further, Locke, what beer do you have today?
This evening, I'm doing Bellwoods Brewery, Green Belly, which I think is I have to imagine this is a salamander reference because this looks like a fucking
It
salamander.
does look like a salamander, and it does look
A
like
highly stylized one, albeit.
yeah. That's cool.
And it's actually a pretty attractive package. Like, as overall
It's a
package
decent layout. Holy hell!
art, all of that. Yeah, like there's a lot to like about this. Reminds me a little bit of the Designers Republic style, like the sort of late 80s, early 90s, where they were kind of first taking vector graphics programs and taking them for kind of a joyride.
Right.
Do you know where not Green Belly, where this brewery is located? It's sorry.
So if I get a little cagey and say Ontario, you'll have to forgive me here. It is a Toronto brewery, as far as I understand. Where in Toronto?
Sorry, what is it
I have
called again?
no idea where 20 Halfus Road is, so it could be.
What's the name of the brewery?
Tell me the brewery one more time.
What? Bellwoods. Yeah, look
Bellwoods.
up Bellwoods
Okay.
Brewery. See where they are.
Perfect.
Because
I'm actually writing this down in our spreadsheet. So
okay,
Okay,
so we're properly back on that horse. All right, good. Nice
yes, because I want us to start tracking this again, just because that's who I am. So, what is your first reaction? What is it? How is it?
Well,
what do you think? Is it
find
garbage?
out.
Is it awesome?
Now, to be clear, and that is not a descriptor of this beer, which is hazy as fuck. So look at that resiny bitch.
Wow.
This
Nice.
is a 10%er. It's a triple IPA and evidently a hazy one. I mostly bought it on the strength of that good-looking green salamander there because I've always kind of liked the color green.
Nice.
Between the red lightsaber and the blue lightsaber, I've always favored the green lightsaber.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yes. I know. I seem like a blue lightsaber kind of guy, but
actually, I was going to say red, but
red lightsaber kind of guy. No.
Yeah.
In any event, I'm a green lightsaber kind of guy.
All right.
Well, hey, we have a beer too. It's a beer that has been sitting in the fridge for some time. This is the Category 12 Rum Barrel Age Continuum, which is a barley wine from Category 12. Of course, over there on, is it Keating or is it, it's Keating, right?
Yes, it's not Keating.
And
Central Saanich. Now, I should point out that we're drinking the 2022 release.
Yes.
Since we have these, there's been a 2023 release. We didn't get that one. But yeah.
So this was already an aged product when you bought the ticket?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually picked these up when?
A full year later.
Yeah,
so
we picked these up at Christmas 2022.
Wow.
Now, Was there can conditioning going on there? Is this
Well, no,
some,
I don't think so.
some active yeast still going on
Yeah.
when it went out?
Yes. So it's barrel aged, and then it went into the can. I don't know how long it was barrel aged for. Let's see if it says.
I'm just going to their website.
Okay,
to
so
see
this was
if they
brewed in the
say.
fall of 2021 and was sold
Okay.
in winter 2022. Like the start of winter 2022, so around Christmas time. I freshly emptied Barbados rum barrels, then housed the beer along the rich, fruity flavors of the rum and notes of vanilla to meld seamlessly with the barley wine. The resulting smooth and mellow flavor is the perfect celebratory offering to our 8th anniversary at the time.
Okay.
All right, so I poured mine. This is what it looks like. And holy hell, can I smell rum? Like,
I've not smelled it yet.
like holy. Like, it's strong. This comes in before I try it at
Out of curiosity, how's the weather
Oh,
where
it
you
is
are?
11.5%. It is cloudy, rainy.
Okay, so this is maybe a little bit more mood appropriate than
I think
than
so.
would be
I
before
think
if we were having it out here.
I think the mood
I-
played a
yeah.
role in us selecting this beer for tonight.
Yeah, because it's been pretty crappy weather-wise. It's not been amazing. We've had moments of sunniness and summer-like weather, and maybe last week before, we had a few days in a row. And then, of course, it inevitably returns to what is outside right now.
Holy hell, is this thing like packed with flavor?
I know, it's kicking my taste buds in the nuts. You're right. The strength of the rum smell is powerful.
Now we are talking about a barley wine, which I know has a flavor that often ranges to plum pudding. Are we talking about,
Yep.
like a rum ball but crossed with a?
Yes.
Yeah, this is definitely a rum ball sort of flavor. Now, and here's the thing, though, is that because it's a rum barrel, yeah, the flavor profile changes a lot. And this is one criticism I have of barley wines, is that the other ones that are whiskey or whatever barrels they're using tend to give a really sharp, tart flavor, which is kind of unpleasant after a while. This has actually not got that. It's kind of got a nice. It has a nice finish. I do believe that when you are drinking this beer, the beer is able to cascade over your taste buds and down your throat without any real concern for tartness. Yeah, no, it's actually not terrible.
It's really good. Is it on the same level of my favorite barley wine, which is Thor's Hammer from Central City? No. I would, if between the two, I would take a Thor's Hammer any day. But Thor's Hammer is hard to come by. In fact, I haven't seen it on shelves in a couple of years. I don't even know if Central City still makes it.
Well, I hope they do.
How is Central City doing these days? Are they active in Vancouver these days? Do they still have their spot down on Beatty?
Oh,
where Dick's used to be?
Shame.
No, the Dick's location has been closed for a while. They did have it open, and I remember you and I went there, I think, in 2015 before the AC/DC concert, if I remember correctly. But it closed not long after that, like within a year. So that location has been empty for since
so
then,
there
is really weird.
Nobody's taken it over then.
No, I have. As far last time I was down that way, which was probably 3 months ago, give or take. I drove by there not too long ago, but I didn't think to look. But it still looked closed. So, and mainly because it had the Red Racer labeling, branding on the windows still.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Which
yeah.
if somebody knew were in there, they would have done something with that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm not sure why. And I have a suspicion it's because of the licensing. The licensing there is actually been quite. Cheers, Crafty Boys, from our biggest viewer, our amazing viewer, our only viewer, Julie. Except for that other guy who was here and left. But basically, I think that there's definitely going to be some concern about that location because they do seem to have trouble. And as I was saying, licensing seems to be the thing because
it is right across.
Used to have a brewing license, but it doesn't anymore. And
it is right across the street from like a major venue, like a stadium. No?
It's like a block down from the big entrance with Terry Fox.
And BC Place Stadium. Yeah. So you would think that somebody could make good use of that space. No.
Now there could be something else going on that we're just not aware of.
Yeah,
there could be something behind the scenes. But when it was Dick's, and the business was closed, it was purchased by Yaletown Brewing, which is about 2 blocks away, and they bought it simply for the license because at the time when that happened, that was sort of the rise of all the breweries opening up in town. Right. And I gather the city stopped giving out licenses for breweries.
Licenses, and so they bought into the existing one.
Yeah. And then they moved that license, from what I remember anyway, they were moving that license to Yaletown Brewing for that purpose. And then, of course, then Red Racer got involved. I don't know how that happened, but although I doubt they were brewing there because they're they've got their whole setup down in Surrey. So who knows? Ultimately, it closed, and I don't know why.
But to be clear, Central City is still in operation. It's just
yeah. The brewery's fine. Yeah. Their tap room, brew pub, I guess, is no longer.
Yeah. So, Locke, we never heard how you liked your beer.
For something that is, for hazy IPAs, the usual criticisms apply. Is it too sweet? Yeah, of course, it's too sweet. That said, this has a refreshingly grapefruity note. Grapefruit / pineapple juice. Toss in a dash of cranberry and a cherry, and I think what you've got is a Shirley Temple at 10% alcohol. No, that said, is it a fragrant, well hopped, green tasting affair? Yeah, I'm going to give it that. Yeah, I mean, it delivers on being a sort of hop forward beverage. There's too much else out there that I would have before I would have this, but it's it's not bad.
I just found something actually. I'm assuming that this article is correct, and the information that I had about the Yaletown brewing thing is actually wrong. So, Dick's opened in 1998 as part of the Mark James Group. Was an incubator for much of the young brewing talent in Vancouver, with people from Trading Post, High Mountain Brewhouse, and a couple of others. People's names I don't know. But So Dick's closed in 2010, shortly after the Winter Olympics. That I remember. This I did not know. Was due to the building's landlord jacking the rent. So Dick's sold its brewing equipment to Brassneck Brewing, which is just over here. In 2015, Central City opened the Red Racer Tap House in the former Dick's space, but then closed, it looks like I don't say the year, but I feel like it must have been
I'm guessing it's COVID.
2016 or so.
Oh,
No, it's my suspicion. Now, here's the thing. I suppose if that's what's going on or happened with the owners of the building jacking the rent a lot, like, is that space big enough, or does it have enough to actually, excuse me, yeah, it was only a tapper. Yeah, they were not brewing at all in that location,
right?
But they, as far as I'm aware, it makes sense to me that they got screwed by the rent, because that was happening in 2015, which is why we left the building next door, because we had our office down there, and they said they were going to be rezoning the land from mixed live work, or whatever the version of that downtown is, to 100% commercial, and that everyone was going to get a 6-month reprieve or something, which was weird because when we moved,
wait a minute. So what
because
you're saying is they were converting it from residential, mixed-use residential commercial to just
that was their plan, which was
because of the residential tenancies legislation
possibly
in BC. Yeah, I'm guessing so.
I would imagine so, but it never actually happened, because I felt bad for the guy, because when we were moving out, there was this nice dude that was taking our place. Yeah, exactly. So that's yeah. But when we left, our building anyway, that one that we were in, I felt bad for the guy who was moving in. He was a very nice guy. Was taking over our space. The rent went up by like $700 or $800 or something, but it was still a big space, kind of nice. But it didn't matter, because the whole commercial thing didn't happen for some reason. So, and part of it, what I heard from the building manager, was that the company that had bought the building wanted to do some major upgrades to it, and do a lot of stuff, but the city said no, because it was a heritage building, and so something tells me they didn't do their due diligence. So I don't know, it fell apart, or that maybe they sold it again. Who knows? But so Julian is pointing out that that closed when the lease expired. So there you go.
Cool.
Well, that's the show, everyone. Julian has had the last word. So overall, things in the world are weird and horrible, and the Ukraine is apparently eyeing this deal that Putin wants to give them, where whatever land that Russia has acquired from the Ukraine will be turned over to Russia, and I don't know if the staunch thing is not happening, where we're reclaiming all of Ukraine or whatever. Just read that this afternoon.
Oh,
so
I haven't read any of that. So
nuclear winter is on the way. Apparently, a bunch of countries that shouldn't have nukes are being found to actually have nukes now. So congratulations to the nuclear winter that will be coming soon.
Sorry, who's this?
A bunch of countries that have apparently revealed that they actually have nuclear weapons now.
Who?
Ukraine has always been Russian, hasn't it? Ask a Ukrainian, because I don't know. As far as they're concerned, they're not, or at least what I've seen in the news. So what other things are going on in the world, people? What are we talking about tonight?
I don't know. I've been burying my head in the sand.
Who are these countries that suddenly have nukes or suddenly admitted it? Because
I would have to find the article again.
Okay, so you don't.
I don't remember. I don't remember off the top of my
You
head.
know what? It's probably these countries are probably just saying it just to make themselves.
I mean, I would always
bigger than they actually are.
Canada would be one of those, but it's sort of like, like.
It's kind of like when I go up to
if we suddenly revealed that actually, we have a massive, missile silos ready to go.
Well, I'm always telling women that I got a massive missile silo. That doesn't make it actually true.
The closest thing we have to that, I think, is Suffield, Alberta, where we actually have the world's largest stockpile of anthrax. But you always sort of hope that somewhere in there there's going to be like maybe we've got like a fleet of Avro arrows that we didn't actually destroy, right? Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. And they kind of they rise up like in Star Wars Episode 9, they're just suddenly there.
Presumably, we'd have some, underground base excavated into the Canadian Shield, and something like that.
Yeah,
why not? I mean, let's just go to the mountain. Hey, nuke us. We dare you. Come on. Our base is right here. The Canadian Shield will protect us. Is anthrax heavy metal? Locke?
Anthrax is...
I would call anthrax a metal band.
Anthrax is thrash metal, is what they probably are.
Okay.
You can't be properly heavy metal wearing shorts. Well, no, I guess Steve Harris wears shorts. I gotta maybe retract that. And but they're hard rock. I don't know. I think Anthrax I think they're thrash metal is what they are.
That was actually what I was going to say, but I know much less than you do, and so I didn't want to embarrass myself. But yeah, okay. I was right. Thrash metal.
I mean, good Lord, Scott Ian has his own fashion sense that I like. I don't know how many people there are fucking lining up to imitate that, but.
So if we were to start a metal band, the Crafty Boys, or a band in general, what genre would we go for?
Metal, of course.
Yeah, I'd say metal.
What kind of metal? What kind of metal?
Well, this is the real.
I would say that what we need to do is we need to reinvent the whole metal genre. So what we need to do is we're going to be a metal band that's going to have like accordions, harmonicas.
No,
I would like to see a metal clarinet.
Somebody's beaten you to that. In Finland, there is a band called Fintroll that do exactly what you just suggested.
Really?
And would I listen to it on a regular basis or even once in a while? No.
Well, I guess kind of Weird Al's kind of done stuff like that too, like doing polka versions of other types of music. Yeah.
Look, I am presently hanging out with people that are very into Italian power metal.
Okay, tell us more.
Look, I don't know how much Elven King I can really take, but I'm sure there are examples of the genre that are better than I imagine. I'm not that big a power metal guy, to be fair, but on the other hand, it has kind of reached kind of a moment just now, which is to say that what I find interesting about the world today is that if you were to postulate that some sick bastard has been sitting in isolation since the 1980s and was suddenly granted the power to reshape the world in their understanding of what they thought the tangent would look like from 1980 until now. I think that's kind of where we are. Here's something that's maybe a little controversial. Shane, you at some point have voiced the opinion, am I wrong, that you don't think that Max Headroom, the TV series, was a very good program. I think you voiced the opinion that it's actually pretty fun.
It was bizarre. I mean, it's
think
Max Headroom. I mean, it's of its time. I mean,
here's the thing.
Okay.
I am coming around. I've been watching it again recently, like over the last couple of days, and I'm coming around to the view that it may have been one of the most prophetic and fascinating pieces of television artwork in the latter half of the 20th century, because
that's a pretty bold claim.
I'd say so.
I'm liking it.
Here's something odd about Max Headroom, is that everybody thinks about Max Headroom as sort of the introduction in popular consciousness, or at least in terms of popular entertainment, of the idea of artificial intelligence.
Sure.
And so here we are at the dawn of practical artificial intelligence, such that it's actually being, somebody thinks it's commercially viable. Whether it is or it isn't is still yet to be proven. But the character of what it is and what people use it for is so much closer to the original vision of Max Headroom than something like, say, Skynet, that it deserves comment. Now, here's the really fascinating thing about Max Headroom, is that was a program made in the 1980s using, and it was really all about artificial intelligence and the convergence of television and computers and all of that. And it was done entirely using practical effects, which is to say that Matt Frewer sat there in makeup for 12 hours so that he could be Max Headroom for the moments that he appears on screen, which we all, as kids, and as even, I think, adults at the time, assumed, because nobody revealed the trick early on, that was something computer generated. It looked shitty and computer generated in a way that was convincingly shitty and computer generated, done entirely using makeup and good lighting.
Yes.
Which is a fascinating fucking thing. If you think about all of the cityscapes, which all looked at the time dystopic, and one wondered if they were computer generated because they looked a bit shitty. No, those were just really garbage fucking models made with paper mache and whatnot of what a city might look like in the future. And at no point did they identify what country you were in. At no point did they identify what year it was. It was 20 minutes into the future. It was always a little bit sort of some sideways surrealist version of now that was a now that was 20 years ago that has ultimately shaped the now we are in today, because everybody's been speculating along the lines that it postulated back like 40 fucking years ago, using and demonstrated using practical effects. They had a guy in makeup with lighting on so that they could film, so that they could pretend it was shitty computer graphics, so that they could show us what shitty computer graphics might look like 20 years from now. So that 20 years from now, we could use the shitty computer graphics to make something that ultimately, like,
yeah, oh yeah,
the mind fucking and all of that. A societal mind fuck.
I loved Max Headroom back in the day. I wasn't a big fan of the TV show, but I liked the character itself. You know, and because I'm in Canada, I didn't watch.
We didn't get it because none of us could afford MTV back in those days.
Yeah.
But did you later on go back and download or watch on YouTube or somewhere else the Max Headroom interview show? Not the dramatic TV series.
No, I have not.
Himself and Max Headroom, but rather where he just did interviews with celebrities on.
No, I
MTV.
haven't watched those.
You should watch those.
Okay, I will do that. I'm gonna do that.
I want to know more. I mean, you recall the whole hijacking of the TV airwaves with
Yes.
Max Headroom, right?
Yeah.
And was it Chicago,
Yeah.
right?
Which was way fucking interesting and super cool. And I don't think anybody's really deposited that anywhere. It's unclear whether that was a California hippie. Was that some?
It was totally an inside job.
Well, okay, an inside job perhaps, but I mean, the fact that it was necessarily because of the way they treated the rest of the programming, transgressive. Are we talking about libertarian transgressive, or like, given the bright colors, one wonders if there's maybe a boogaloo hiding in the fucking wings somewhere? You know what I mean? Like, what was that about?
I don't think anybody knows. I think it was just somebody who wanted to upset the system.
Well, that could be any of us.
A disgruntled TV station employee who had access to the necessary equipment to hijack the airwaves, because it required the basically like a TV remote, like a remote truck or something like that. Like, you couldn't do, like, maybe today you could, like, anybody could do that with like their webcam or whatever, but back then, no, you had to have thousands of dollars, like tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment at your disposal to be able to do that. So this guy had to have been somebody who worked at a TV station, who was disgruntled and had access to the equipment.
Your proverbial, flight attendant that rips the cord, takes the slide, grabs a drink along the way. Yeah.
And what the motivations behind it? Who knows?
Well, I mean, you just basically lined it up, right? So this individual was, or people, who knows? It was a very I'm trying to.
And let's also say this: whoever it was didn't act alone.
No. The conspiracy, you just destroyed all of the conspiracy theories that ever were created around that particular event. There was interference from a foreign government or blah 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 blah, but you just made it sound pretty basic, like someone got pissed off.
If it was interference from a foreign government, then the airwaves would have reached further than just Chicago.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Well, I would like to present our first album from the Crafty Boys. It has been months and months in the making. And here's our big reveal of our first album cover. So there we are, the Crafty Boys. Beer and Bums. It's a decent, album cover, I think. We do have another alternative, the Crafty Boys, Beer and Bums. So, there we are. All of us are represented. So what do you guys think?
It looks very AI.
No, I did this by hand. Oh. I had no tools of any kind helping me do this.
Where's Greta? We need to have Greta.
How do I make Greta appear? No, I forgot. Oh my Lord, that's really sad, actually. Greta, are you there? Hello?
Greta's not.
Apparently, wait a second.
Wasn't Greta?
Hey, get out of here. Get lost, Putin. Jesus. Our show is, of course, always approved by Greta and Craftyland. And apparently Bud Light. Wow, that's going back a little way, isn't it, boys?
Yeah.
So yes, of course these are AI generated. Are you kidding? I have that amount of talent in that short period of time. Our third album here is called Maximum
Oh, I
Headroom.
like that one.
So
That looks
Maximum
like the
Headroom.
cover of a Judas Priest album.
Oh, really? Sweet.
Totally.
Yeah, actually, I'm buying what you're selling there. That's pretty rad. Actually, I'm fucking right into that.
Yeah, that's
well, I made two of those.
Fucking Def Leppard, though, isn't it?
No, I'd say Judas Priest.
Do you
No,
not
that's
see-
Judas Priest.
That one is maybe a little bit more Judas Priest.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
Are you not seeing Pyromania and whatnot in there?
Go back to the other one, Shane.
This one?
Yeah, I guess I'm seeing Pyromania a little bit. It's only because of the circular thing, and on the Pyromania they have sort of
circles
like
and triangles
that
tend to do that.
Yeah, like the crosshairs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for that matter, Hysteria.
See, this one here reminds me of Screaming for Vengeance.
Yeah, Scream for Vengeance crossed with Hysteria, but yeah.
Look, show us Screaming
for
for
Vengeance.
Vengeance as a comparison, Shane.
Okay.
Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance.
Oh my God. You know, screw it. I can't apparently spell priest or Judas for that. Anyway. What was it called? Screaming
for Vengeance.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That's cool.
Which, by the way, is the first tape, like cassette tape I ever bought.
Okay. Yeah.
With my own money.
Mine was ZZ Top's Afterburner.
Oh, yeah.
What it's worth. Yeah.
What was that was the first album you ever bought?
Yeah.
That was the first
with
album
my
I
own
bought
money.
with my own money. It wasn't the first album I ever had. The first one I ever bought with my own money.
This is the first album that I ever bought with my own money. The soundtrack to The Abyss.
Yeah, all right. No, that's a solid fucking choice, really. Shane, you always listened to more soundtracks than pretty much anybody else that I knew. Like your whole thing was you were into soundtracks, pop music. Yeah, you listened to it, you were aware of it, you weren't against it or anything. But your go-to was soundtrack music.
Oh yeah,
I disagree. That was not your first. No? I know you had the Razor's Edge before that.
Oh, you know what? I'm pretty sure I bought them on the same day because I bought them at the A&B Sound.
Right. I was there.
Boxing Day sale.
Yeah.
I remember those Boxing Day sales very well.
Yeah. Because because the I remember actually being in the till, holding what I was going to buy. I was in the till, stealing the money. That's why we got thrown out. No, I was in the line for the till, and I don't know who it was, but somebody we knew was also there, and they were holding up the CDs that they had, and I held up mine, and when they saw The Abyss, they're like, "What? What the fuck?" But I still am an Alan Silvestri fan, so it was, I don't know. I listen to that one periodically. I have a lot of go-to music that if I'm working on the computer and I need to focus, I will play stuff that I can just completely ignore. And unless actually of late I've been doing random playlists of jazz music from the 40s, and that's been actually kind of interesting. Hearing stuff that you're like, I know this, and then you have to go looking. Who did that? Oh my god, that was done by like Yul
that was
Brynner
in a
in
Bugs Bunny
1975.
cartoon.
Yeah, exactly that too. Da 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 da. Kill the rabbit. But yeah, those were the days, man. Those were the days. Back when albums you could go to
Physical
the
media.
Boxing Day sale and actually find something you'd never ever heard of and had never considered buying.
Yeah.
And
I really
don't
miss Lyle's place.
Yes, I was about
is
to
Lyle's place gone?
Yes.
Is it closed?
Well,
Ah, bummer.
gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're missing a lot of that. I mean, especially with Spotify. What is it called? The Spotify AI the AI jukebox. No, what do they call them? The AI dude. The DJ. Sorry, DJ. They call it a DJ. So so they have this automated thing now where you tell it what kind of genre of music you want to hear, or you give it, I gather, like some artists that you would like to listen to, and then it finds other similar ones. And it's not just a playlist being generated, it's actually a hi, I am your AI DJ, and we're going to be listening to blah 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 blah. And I'm just waiting for the moment where it's like, I hope you've been listening really quietly and you're enjoying this playlist that I've been creating for you. Brought to you by Depends Diapers. We know how old you are, and therefore. So it's a fascinating technology in one way, but at the same time,
Can I admit something to you guys?
Sure. Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I don't go on social media anymore is the fact that the targeted ads to me were like for like Depends undergarments.
Sorry,
So I'm like, why am I coming to me? I don't need this. Screw off.
And that is why I don't go on social media at all.
Yeah. Make me realize that I'm not part of the target demographic anymore.
Well, this is actually a good argument. Like, would you return to social media if the ads weren't there?
I would return to social media if the ads weren't there, and if people stopped acting so toxic.
Well, that's never.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's like asking for rain, except for it not to be wet. I don't know. It's always put me off, and early on, not because I thought it was the last time it was sort of half-ass acceptable to me,
right,
was really in the MySpace days when they had just effectively stumbled into a formula that worked. And instead of clamping down on it straight away, they kind of let it breathe a little bit. And so people found all these interesting hacks and ways to sort of develop their own website and their own kind of thing. And, it was sufficiently organic that it felt like you were walking through, something like a marketplace. The second Facebook entered the scene, it was like, oh my God. This is like sitting in a fucking hospital waiting room, and I'm being forced to be nice to people who I would otherwise fuck off. No, I don't want to fucking do this. No, get the fuck out of my face. I don't know. I dropped that shit in 2009. Mostly because I couldn't remember my password and couldn't be bothered to look it up, and the Facebook team were evidently useless. And so, as everybody understands, there is a zombie account out there that is effectively run, I gather, by the Facebook team, which includes people fucking updating posts as if it's a version of me or something. And I genuinely have not even looked at that page since 2009, except on like maybe 3 occasions, 2-3 occasions, and I couldn't really place them. Only just to note that, oh my God, that thing's still fucking there. Which is to say that, when you look at the valuations of any of these fucking Silicon Valley companies, they're all based on the idea that there are users out there that may not actually use fucking anything. They may just have co-opted somebody's data and are pretending that they're a user, as in my case.
And once you create a profile, you actually can't delete it. It's
right.
So there you go, Locke. My sister apparently wished you happy birthday last year.
Fuck's sake. Like,
so did a lot of people. My mom did.
I could not access that account if I wanted to. I wish it were gone. I have complained to Facebook, the Facebook team, and they have been a bunch of useless fucktards.
I just realized
capable of
this
doing
is 2021, so we're going back into 2020.
For Christ's sake, I remember
2019
that I was not on this
2017
at all since 2009.
At Spinnakers.
For Christ's
this
sake.
is absolutely just fucking hilarious. So there you go. That is you know what the best thing you can do on Facebook if you want to avoid that is you actually tell it that people are not allowed to post information about you to your timeline. And I remember
the problem is that it's they won't acknowledge that I am the owner of the account. So
it doesn't matter. Well, no, the default is if somebody posts content on Facebook and then they tag you in it, then it goes to your timeline. So you have to actively go, I don't want that. And I did it years ago.
Do that without logging in.
Without logging in, you can't. You'd have to have them delete your account, I would imagine.
Right. Now we're back on the same page. Yeah. Cannot get into my account. They won't acknowledge that it's my account because there are a lot of fucking Lockhart Fultons out there, aren't there? Right.
Last time I checked, there's thousands.
My next door neighbor is named Lockhart Fulton.
Oh man, they're everywhere. What the hell? Where are these jackasses coming from? I mean, come on.
Look. Now, have either of you seen that American Civil War movie?
Haven't. I've been thinking about it, but then I noticed it left theaters sort of already. So.
Yeah. I watched a few pirated clips of it, so I have a rough idea of what it is. And of course, who could wish such a bad thing on such a nice country? Anyway, at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem with it is that it isn't actually 100% politically balanced, and so. If the argument was that this is something appalling that should never happen, they needed to make it balanced within their own country, right? Because I don't have any fucking skin in this game. I don't give a shit what Americans do to each other. But if you were an American trying to make a film showing how bad it would be to have an American Civil War, being like not really center here, but maybe kind of a little bit lefty, you think that's going to help? You think anybody on the other side of the fence is going to look at that film and go, "Oh, geez, yeah, we better."
Yeah, this is balanced.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's. I mean, the thing I read about it when it was before it came out was an interview with the director and the writer, and they were wanting to start a conversation about how it would be a bad idea.
But
I don't know if it was successful because I haven't seen it. So
whatever conversation they started, what it was really a conversation about, and this is back to Max Headroom, is the ruthlessness of media companies in the United States to make paydays out of their own country's misery and failure and disappointment. And haha.
Do you realize what we just did? We were like a Seinfeld episode where we started with an idea, talked about some extraneous shit, and then circled it all the way back to the original idea. We're brilliant.
Neither of us.
This is quality entertainment.
None of us have tits like that. Frankly,
No, oh, damn it all to hell.
Like, say whatever you want about Kramer. Say whatever you want about fucking Seinfeld himself. He's like a taller Gary Shandling. I don't know, what is he. Anyway, and then George is really the only actor who is in other stuff that I actually like, because he worked with the Coen brothers and Bruce Campbell on Crime Wave. So there's that. But beyond that, it's Dreyfus and the fact that she's got a hell of a rack.
Oh yeah.
Well, she's also a billionaire, so there you go.
Is she?
Her family is. Yes, she is like the sole heiress, I gather, of her family fortune. So she's been doing amazing on her own without any help from anybody, I'm assuming. But apparently, yeah, there's like a several $1 billion, thing coming.
Yeah.
More Piper. I will actually point out, it's funny you brought up Michael Richards from Seinfeld, because he actually just announced like the other day that he had prostate cancer in 2018 and had his prostate removed. So that's just for my thing. I don't know why it crossed the radar of the news, but I guess I search for it too often. So
algorithms.
But yeah, he's another person that actually I should read off the list I've been keeping of famous people that have died because of prostate cancer. And here it is so far. Bill Bixby, the Incredible Hulk, that we all used to know and love.
Yeah.
This was news to me. Frank Zappa. Who knew that Frank Zappa actually had it? Dennis Hopper.
Know that Frank Zappa died.
Apparently, he's long. He died several years ago. Dennis Hopper. Johnny Ramone. Jerry Orbach, who you would remember from things like Beauty and the Beast and Law and Order. Telly Savalas, that also is news to me. Merv Griffin. Don Amici. Lemmy, of course. And James Herriot. That I had no idea. I only found that out like a few weeks back. James Herriot wrote a series of books about a veterinarian in the Yorkshire Dales, sort of partway up England. And I read them as a kid. I loved these books. They were amazing. It made me for quite a while to want to become a veterinarian. Then I discovered boobs or something, and that was it. But so I started building this list of people that have not had it, they have died because of it, or have died because of diseases or conditions that are called, adjacent. Where I think one of them actually died of pneumonia, but it was caused by the cancer in the body. So I'm building the list. Lemmy was the most recent addition because his was like, I don't feel very well. You have cancer and it's everywhere. Great. 2 days later, he's dead. It's like, what the hell? Although I have to admit, every time I think of that, I'm like, dude, what were you not doing? Were you just
not going to the doctor? Not going to the doctor is what he was doing.
Well, yeah.
But like for the last year that he was touring, you could kind of see this isn't this, something's going on here, because you kind of went, frail, thin, everything going white all at once,
Right.
Speaking of aging rockers that don't look well, like Iggy Pop, like how is this guy still walking the earth? I mean, the guy looks like he's got scoliosis.
Well, when he was younger, though.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
he still does the thing with like
no shirt on. I mean, his spine looks like a question mark.
Yeah, again, like I recall that being a condition of most of his career.
His skin looks like leather.
Yeah, like most of his career. Like
yeah, like look at that.
Yeah, like he's never looked like a well man.
No.
That is a lot of sun exposure there, right there. That's totally what I see.
Astonish me that given my state of affairs, and yours, Alan, that motherfucker still has that much fucking hair.
I know, but it's not good. Hair,
you know, look, you know, I think on the basis of the rest of his, you know, condition, I'm satisfied that I'm kind of worried.
I don't know. This guy is completely geriatric, and he refuses to. I mean, good for him.
Well, for a geriatric, he's still pretty fucking zero body fat, isn't he?
I mean, yeah, but I attribute that to the wrong.
Look. Here's the bottom line, though. If you want to extend life, being what Ann Caloric. Being in caloric deficit or whatever is what you do. That is how that works.
I mean, same with Mick Jagger,
which is the opposite of what we're doing here, because beer is calorie rich. But
yeah, like Mick Jagger is like 80 or something, and he still performs.
Yeah, so no,
young.
Big question: how many of his limbs are still? How many of his joints are?
He's more machine now than man.
Well, no, seriously, because I was listening to a Bruce Dickinson interview the other day where he was talking about his hip replacement. He's now got a titanium hip, which is to say that he has succeeded in becoming part Wolverine, but.
I've heard, who was it? I think it may have been Steve Martin, who said that he spends something like $40,000 a year on stem cell treatments to make himself younger, like to defy the aging process a little bit. I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't Steve Martin. Maybe it was somebody else. But somebody admitted that they spent.
Who may or may
$40,000 a year on stem cell treatments in an effort to stay younger so they can perform longer. And I'm kind of wondering if that's what all these famous people are doing.
The problem with not knowing for sure if it's Steve Martin is we have no way of telling whether that is the going rate or that's just the Steve Martin rate.
Yeah. Could be.
Right.
If you were going to spend $40,000 a year on something and you were of that age and well, you look at the alternative.
The alternative is us.
Well, no. The alternative is not even necessarily us. I think the alternative is death. Is not
yes.
You're not going to pay for the your stem cell treatment.
But you look at some of these people and they're old.
You're 80, you're 90
but they look
or something like
that. They seem pretty young, like relatively. Compared to
no. Look, I agree. People look in California. It is not danced around at a legal level. It is 100% the case that you are a different class of citizen if you are a celebrity. If you're a celebrity, different rules apply, and I suspect that might even relate to what's available in terms of things like treatments.
I mean, I suppose if I could afford it, I'd pony up $40,000 a year for stem cells. I would just
Well,
take those.
Here's the thing. If you could leverage your ability to do things like this, which is to say, essentially an interview, a long form talking gig on whatever venue, and you were going to leverage that against borrowing money to keep your ass alive, you can see that being a reasonable thing to do.
I suppose.
But only your ass, though.
Oh yeah. Well, my ass doesn't need it. My ass is spectacular. So
because you're aging just like Iggy Pop.
Oh, I look just like Iggy Pop.
Oh yeah, take off my shirt.
At 30 years
from
younger.
head to toe. Yes. Maybe when I was a baby. But so what? So I mean, to continue that part of the discussion, what extent would you go to survive?
I guess it depends on your means, right? If you have
That's
the
true.
means for it without negatively impacting your lifestyle, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I ask because Julian brought up Pierre Trudeau, who died from prostate cancer too, but he refused to treat it because he also had apparently was starting to experience dementia.
So, right? And so if you're going through Alzheimer's, do you just take the fucking quicker road out before you have to?
Exactly, and that's apparently what he did. So I was just curious. Like it is a fascinating thing to sort of think about how, if you have a choice of going out your own way or not, as morbid as this discussion just suddenly took a turn. But seriously, what would you do? Because I also read recently in the last few weeks, who was it? Somebody famous as well. No. It was on the podcast for what's his name, who wrote the 12 Rules for Life. Is a pariah at the University of Toronto. Oh my god. 12. I'm blanking.
No. Just give me a second.
By it's a bestseller. Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah, okay. I was thinking.
He works in the same department as a friend of my stepmother's.
So Jordan Peterson had a person on his podcast recently talking about the MAID program, and they were talking about how the assisted suicide in Canada specifically, because it's a Canadian nurse or a doctor, I think he was talking to, and the saying just that the class of drugs that are used for these kinds of things, including like executions, are so not understood that the drugs as administered for if you're going under for some sort of treatment or whatever, or a surgery, the drug that they use is the same drug as used in the MAID program. So basically, but what they are finding is that when it's used for surgery, it works great. If it's used at the levels for being medically assisted suicide, they're finding that the drug paralyzes your body, and then
fails
your
to
lungs,
kill your brain, so
your lungs fill with fluid before you die, so you basically drown. And apparently, this is a new discovery in the last little while.
Oh, look at that! Look at what we discovered.
Exactly, and you also grow dog ears off of your chest, so that is another thing.
Sorry, what?
There's a dog on thing. So not related to morbidity. You may have mentioned it, but the 35th anniversary of the Last Crusade. Speaking of ways of facing and not facing mortality. All right, that's it, boys. It's time to check out. We just got to end it all now. It's the 35th anniversary of The Last Crusade, which I saw in the theater with my grandmother not long before she started developing Alzheimer's. And I remember leaving the theater. It was at the Capitol 6. And we walked out, and my grandmother just says, yeah, that was awfully violent. Just out of nowhere. It's awfully violent. Okay, well, it was Indiana Jones. What did you think we were seeing? But yeah, those were the days. So yeah, we're old, boys. We're ready to retire. Like, we're getting close to start thinking about retirement. And like, Locke, you just started a brand new career. Like, it's kind of awesome. These are things that I don't think we talk about enough. So what's your retirement plan? Tahiti?
Retirement's something I did in my 20s.
I was drinking and partying and screwing until I was 35, and then I thought I should get a job. What can you say? Didn't we all do that to a certain degree? Aren't we the first generation that really kind of did very little a lot of the time?
No. That's typical.
Oh, is it typical?
Yeah. I mean, the busy generations were sort of between the end of the mid 18th century and sort of the mid 20th century. Between those periods, everybody was highly bloody active. It's really, after the end of the Second World War, that's when everybody fucking kicked back, stuck their feet up, and went, fuck it.
Cool. I mean, we're the first generation? Gen X is what I'm referring to for those wanting to know.
We're the first ones that had the convenience of being able to do it all by phone.
That's true.
Not that anybody knows how to make a fucking phone call nowadays. Am I right?
I read recently that, and this is a joke thing, but I think it makes a lot of sense because the malls aren't doing well anymore. Like, a lot of them are going out of business and everything, closing. That they should turn malls into Gen X retirement homes. And all the Gen Xers,
they already fucking have. Who do you think the mall walkers are nowadays?
Yeah. But the Gen Xers could retire, stay in the mall with the food court and the arcade and the movie theaters, and we'd all be happy.
They'd all be like Reg Blank from Max Headroom.
I can remember the last time I received a phone call. It wasn't that long ago. It was from Akbel, who is an RCMP officer, telling me about my CRA being
yes, of course, years. And you were going to be put in jail. Yeah. And if you want to save this, you better go and get some gift cards.
Mallrats is this. I would say it's more like Fast Times at Ridgemont High kind of thing.
I'm sorry, but the cookie stall is not within the food court. It's mid-mall snacking.
And we gotta have a store with those 3D painting things that you gotta stare at for a while. Yeah. It's a sailboat.
That is the Easter Bunny. Why do I know quotes from this film?
You see, now the malls would actually have a store right next door that would sell you the mushrooms that you would need to take in order to see that fucking sailboat.
You have an Orange Julius there, where
I literally walked by a hot dog. Literally on Toronto, on fucking the Danforth Avenue in Toronto today, I walked past a mushroom store, like that is to say, a store selling psychedelic mushrooms. And didn't even bat an eye because I was too busy looking for coffee.
Well,
but
hey,
being like it as a teenage me, I would have been like, oh my God, you can get psychedelic mushrooms from a store on the street. And it was like This is a non-event. I don't even fucking care. And no, I don't have fucking 6 hours to take mushrooms. You know what I mean? Like, who has 6 hours anymore?
Well, it's funny because there's these stickers that show up outside of our building all the time, advertising all kinds of psychedelics, mushrooms, DMT, whatever that other one is called,
Cocaine.
by Mike on a Bike. Mike on a Bike will deliver you the drugs that you want. I'm assuming they are legally acquired. Who knows? But it is kind of amusing to me that Mike on a Bike keeps coming back and does that kind of stuff because it just amuses me. And there's other people too, but essentially, it's a good thing.
I imagine Mike on a Bike looks like the guy from Harold and Kumar, the first one that they meet at the university.
That's
Drug
right.
dealer.
I'm trying to remember. That film I actually didn't ever. I don't think I ever saw that one.
No, what? Oh,
Did I ever? I don't remember.
Sorry, what is the first one? Is the first one not Harold and Kumar go to White Castle?
Yeah, that's the first one.
Right.
And actually the best one.
That is true. But the stores that I have that do amuse me.
Bottle as recently as 2019.
But the fascinating thing to me is that I've actually seen. We're talking about the booze, the drugs, but there's also that explosion. I don't know if it's as big of junk food stores that deliver. So you can get, if you get the munchies, you want stuff, right? So we need like 18 bags of potato chips.
Nobody knows how to drive anymore, right?
Well, not when you're stoned out of your gourd. Are you kidding?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I would hope not.
A solid point.
But yeah, I mean, you're at home, you're just hanging out, and it's like, guys, we totally have the munchies. I don't see that being a major issue anymore for those kinds of stores at all. There was some called like dial a bag. No, not dial a bag. Dial a chip or something, and then there was another one called skunk. Was it skunk food or something? It was something weird like that. It was some phrase for getting high. But
what's that phrase that kept saying in Clark? Snoochie boochies, dude.
Snoochie boochies. Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
No one says that, man. That's like fucking baby talk. Jedi bitch. But oh my god, I'm totally losing my brain now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that is definitely. Now, is it dying out though? Was it cool? Was getting food during the pandemic delivered? Is that kind of dying off now?
I never did it, so I don't know.
Well, who has reported to you that they
You're
did such
effectively
things?
rural anyway, aren't you?
Not that I would
I'm
say.
rural? No.
Apparently,
I just
apparently
don't
you're
like having
rural.
things delivered.
You just didn't like it at all.
I kind of the whole sort of like DoorDash and whatever. Like I hate that stuff. I read a thing that the restaurants, say mom and pop restaurants, like their profits are pretty much eaten away by those.
The whole gig economy thing is shitty for everyone except for the asshole, tech bros, running that shit.
Even the delivery drivers don't make any money from that.
Yeah, which is surprising given the level of danger they're willing to take in order to deliver that fucking that peri peri chicken or whatever.
Like, can you imagine going from like I'm talking in Victoria here, going to Oak Bay to pick up an order and drive it out to Colwood, spending I don't know, $7 in gas to do that in your own vehicle, and all you're getting
No.
is
You wouldn't be doing that. You'd be doing that on an
maybe a
electric
tip.
bicycle, wouldn't you? Would you not? Wouldn't that be an electric bicycle kind of a gig?
Not if you wanted to get it delivered in like under 20 minutes.
Are you kidding? Those things don't go 200 and like 100 miles an hour and 100 miles in 20 minutes or some shit like that. No.
This comment from Sean is the most telling. Even dialing somewhere is so antiquated now.
What's it mean to dial something?
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's kind of like what we were saying earlier.
Like,
about,
imagine
thing, right?
like Gen Zers are like, they used. I gather it was like the Antithecra machine.
Okay. Here's a test for you guys. When if you were to mime using the phone, what would you do with your hand?
Oh, that is cruelty right there.
Okay, if you're gonna you would do this, right? Okay, Gen Z apparently does this. That's miming using the phone.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I understand why.
I understand why, but I mean, even my millennial friends.
Wow.
If I ask them to mime using a phone, they do this.
Yeah.
Have we become so old and inflexible as to have outlived our usefulness?
No. Our usefulness increases as we become less flexible.
At least to us.
Well said. That is true. I got to say that is definitely, yeah.
Like it's not about. Oh, I see. You were trying to do that. But you were trying to do this, but you did that, and where you were trying to get was over. Yeah, that's. I mean, that's how I would have, addressed somebody who got something wrong. Maybe, in my, 20s or 30s. Here I am, pushing 50, and you fucked that up. It's sort of like, okay, the thing that you fucking did was wrong. Don't fucking do it again. Do it fucking right,
baby.
Don't make any more fucking mistakes. No, they're not a learning experience. Enough learning experiences with you.
But you're so incredibly toxic. I don't understand why you're so mad at me now. Whoops. I just turned something on I should have turned on yet.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, that was me. That's our ending screen for the show, by the way.
All right.
Just letting you know. But the toxicity argument that always comes up from I don't know, what are they called now? Gen Alpha? Like the current crop of like
it's not clear to me whether there is a new generation or there isn't a new generation, and where they draw these lines. Here's the problem with social scientists. They're the sort of people who weren't sufficiently sociable to actually succeed in the social scene. But they're not actually scientists. And so they live in this fucking...
So Gen Alpha is this. People born between 2010s and am I reading this right?
No, these guys are like kids.
Now here's the thing. I want to say this because since Sean is listening, the one thing that I always tell people is the story that he told me a number of years ago now, when Sean was teaching whatever he was teaching, Shakespeare, whatever, and your anxiety is exactly. Where he made a reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and the people in the class did not know what that was. And that was kind of, I think for me, when he told me that, like that was sort of the first time that I sort of thought, Oh, right. This actually does occur. The pop culture, the knowledge, these kinds of things. All of this stuff does eventually expire because it's replaced by whatever the hell you grew up with. So I've always wanted to know what a Gen Alpha would think about like E.T. the extraterrestrial. Like, would that be a thing that they would appreciate or enjoy as much as we would or did? So I don't know.
I think so.
I watched that movie again like about 5 years back, and I have to say it's a weird film. Like Spielberg. I mean, you know, like Jaws worked, and he was part of that, like, you know, CalArts Film School, fucking, you know, whatever it was, like. He was part of the original generation of filmmakers that made blockbusters. I mean, I actually take Spielberg, Lucas, that whole generation really to have been the last generation of American artists that were playing their game in that arena at a world level, and legitimately so, in a way that's, you know, historically going to go down as, yeah, that was a significant moment in time. I think maybe the very tail end of that would have been stuff like James Cameron's The Abyss. I think, you know, he sits alongside people like Lucas and Spielberg in the way that Bernini sits, you know, alongside people like Leonardo and Michelangelo, right? Like there was an aspect in which this was fresh territory, newly discovered, done with as much prowess as the medium would allow at the time that they were doing it. And the problem is now the medium is so flexible, so utterly manipulable,
right?
That for somebody to come into the scene right now and use all of it is implausible, and it still turn out to be a watchable piece of anything. You know what I mean? Like either it bleeds into gaming or some other new medium, or
True.
The level of plasticity is such that nobody can come in and breach new territory meaningfully and tell a story at the same time without those two objectives getting in the way of each other. Do you see what I'm saying?
I kind of do. I also kind of disagree. I've really fallen in love. Well, okay, not fallen in love, but I really appreciate the works of Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, that's Shaun of the Dead.
Edgar Wright did like Baby Driver.
Right.
Which
I surprisingly enjoyed, Baby Driver.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay. Interestingly, these are all sort of films. I mean, aside from Shaun of the Dead, ones that I haven't seen.
I would recommend watching them. The way that they're shot is eye-opening to me,
especially Scott Pilgrim. I mean, the material. The material it's based on is Edgar Wright.
Yeah, sorry, Edgar Wright. Yes, you're right.
Scott Pilgrim, it had a double whammy because its source material is a manga-esque kind of comic graphic novel thing, and the style that particular thing uses is what they used in the film. But being able to see it in a film format was actually kind of jarring, actually. We have another. So
it's on. Both of those films are on Netflix right now. I highly recommend them. Both of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's actually a very, very well put, because I mean, I don't know. I guess we are. I mean, I've said this on this show before about Juvenoia, right? This whole idea that you are fearful of or fearing for uh, the younger generations, because they are doing everything wrong. They are doing things that are incorrect. And to me, a lot of films that get made right now are basically, in my very limited view, should probably everything should star Steven Seagal, because that's the quality of the films that are being made. A lot of them. I'm also very critical of really preachy scripts where you are being hammered to death by some message that the filmmakers want to get across, but do forget that whole idea of showing and don't tell. So they start telling you through dialogue. They start telling you through voiceover. They start, rather than actually having characters encounter these discussions and show you how they react. And hopefully you'll have several different characters experiencing at the same time with different viewpoints. Willow, the TV series, was a huge crime. Committed that crime to the point where it got removed from Disney Plus.
Sorry, which crime?
Willow. Okay, you know the film Willow from like
yeah. And the show, the
show
crime. What was wrong?
The crime of
casting Christian
choosing a message that gets thrown through throughout the entire series. So you had a lot of discussions that were very much 20th century discussions, but spoken with dialogue that was very 21st century. I keep saying 20, I mean 21st century people, rather than saying, okay, we have this fantasy world that has been in a film and now we're doing it in a TV show. The characters that we have should be characters who have grown up and live within this fantasy world. They shouldn't be talking. They shouldn't be speaking dialogue like somebody down the street.
World integrity problem is what we're saying.
Exactly. And so, but that is not, that show is not the only one. There's been a lot.
And not to be sludged off. Like it's,
exactly.
You lost your franchise.
Yes, but they also had a message about they chose a bunch of messaging that they wanted to have in it that was deemed very equality focused and these kinds of things, which is totally fine. But they had one storyline that I thought was brilliant. Remember in the film, the guy, whatever the character's name was, the guy that wore the skull mask. He was the big villain. Yeah. And in this show, it's, however many years later, and this character has been revealed that he ran around screwing a lot of people, committing rape or whatever it was, but he fathered a lot of children. So I just found that interesting that was a never discussed at the same level as all of the other stuff that they really wanted to have in the show. I mean, I'm nitpicking, but I see it a lot now, and it's really unfortunate. Rather than just having characters that you create, okay, here's the message I want to have in this thing because this is what's on my mind. All right, I'm going to do an episode about that. How do I take that idea and have this character in this world do the thing and be able to experience that, show the audience, and hopefully they'll take it into their mind and that there's something in the real world we need to talk about, rather than being like Valley Girl X and Valley Girl Y talking about, like they're right off the set in a Hollywood film. Like it made no sense to me, and it happened so many times. It became I was watching the show because I wanted to see how bad it would get. And rather than trying to enjoy it for what
they didn't need to break the fourth wall because it was kind of pretty busted up going in.
Well, actually, that's a really good point. That it was very much a wink, nod, or more of a wet fish across your face.
Curtain call.
Yeah, it was sad. I mean, there's a time and place for that. Deadpool is a perfect character to who does that all the time, but that is part of the shtick of that character and that world, where I wanted to see a fantasy world of a ridiculous movie from the '80s that still I think is awesome. And by the way, if you want to get children's books at any time for my 8-month-old niece, there are plenty of ones out now that I've noticed that my sister showed me today that feature characters from The Labyrinth. So anyway, my favorite one being a book called that basically teaches your young children the differences between left, right, up, and down, which I thought was hilarious. And I'm like, how are they going to do that? Ludo smell bad, maybe, I don't know, who knows. But yeah, so there's my rant for the day.
Nice.
Yeah. So anything else to cover, boys?
I don't think so.
No, we've been going for an hour and a half now.
All.
We covered it all. So we might be back next week. You never know. We could be just completely recovering from this brandy.
I'm messed up right now.
So we'll see you all next time. And I certainly hope that you have a great week, a great weekend. And I'm sorry to one of our watchers. We didn't have enough Piper today. So sorry about that. We'll try again next week. And as always, goodbye, everybody. Later. We're gotta get the hell out of here. How do you? Yay! That's so not the thing. I hit the wrong thing.